Welcome, everyone, to the Beyond the Deck podcast. I'm Beata Rouleau, founder, CEO of Compass, where we transform disconnected tools and chaotic processes into unified go-to-market operating systems. I am so thrilled to have Bobby here today. We share a lot of passion in terms of RevOps, go-to-market, and AI. And so we're going to have a lot that we talk about today. Bobby is the CRO at Monite, and Monite is redefining what it looks like for businesses to work with embedded finance. So I'm going to let him be the expert in that section. But Bobby, I know you've had a broad background. We've talked about your music history all the way through now scaling really high growth teams within the fintech industry. So I would love to just give you an opportunity to introduce yourself, highlight anything you want the audience to know about you.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Beata. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me on. Just a little bit about myself. I'm Bobby Fowley. I've been in technology for about 15 years now, working on revenue teams, commercial teams, sales teams. Started off as a commercial executive myself. Before that, I have a deep history, initially in music, but moving into kind of the SMB space, retail, hospitality. Had a long time in hospitality, and just kind of learning about that. When I pivoted into technology, I was working with Lightspeed Commerce shortly after their Series A. And, I found that I had a knack for the customers we were working with, speaking to that SMB language. Enterprise guys were coming in, we were hiring these guys that were doing 6 and 7 figure deals. And they were like, okay, the sales motion doesn't work. So I was able to come in and kind of rewrite the playbook for how we define SaaS in the SMB market. And since then, so Lightspeed had a great time there. Just about 10 years, and moved into more of the infrastructure with companies like Kodat and Monite. And today, just really passionate about building tools and working with companies that are building tools that can support that SMB market. You see corporate taking over, you see corporate everywhere here and there. And I think it's great that, we're living in a time that we can actually start to build things in an affordable way that allow SMBs to be competitive. So what we're doing at Monite now, we mainly focus on accounts receivable, accounts payable, so money in, money out. We sell to platforms that are vertical SaaS, payments platforms. Some of our larger customers are Payoneer, Molly, payment providers in that. But also banks and anybody that's really working in technology serving that SMB market. So excited to chat more about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to ask you a question about that. For these customers that are ideal, what is the thing about Monite that when they see it, they're like, yes, that's the problem. Yes, I want to purchase it. That's the problem I have. Thank you for solving it. What is that thing that typically sets that off?
Yeah, I think, look, if you're working with SMBs, they have the biggest problem is how can I get paid? How can I get paid fast? So being able to embed payment links, being able to offer a compliant way of invoicing right out of the gate without having to build that compliance and infrastructure. We're live in over 200 countries today. So being able to suit all sorts of markets and all sorts of verticals, when we go to a vertical SaaS company and say, yeah, we can solve that today. We can have your customers get paid, but also pay out. We can, do the AP side and see, offer bill pay products, expense management. I see it as the SMBs are being powered and they see it as things that their customers are asking for, but it's also revenue driving. These are payment products. We don't monetize the revenue side of it in terms of the payments applications. We're a software company. We provide the infrastructure, but you could bring your own payment providers. You can bring different things to the mix that really allow you to monetize payments, capital, invoice financing, and factoring, all of that. So yeah, those two sides of the coin are what people really love about us.
Yeah, that's awesome. So 200 countries. What would you say? That's obviously a very broad market. Yeah. What are the non-negotiable things that are a part of your go-to-market strategy that you're like, these are non-negotiable and have allowed us to expand across all these, I'm assuming, very diverse markets that you're selling into?
Yeah, so we don't intentionally sell to 200 different countries. We've mainly focus is paramount. If you're scattered, you're not going to have the team to support and supply the needs of all those companies. So we mainly work in UKI and Europe and North America. By focusing on those two regions, we're seeing people that are just looking to do more cross-border, looking to expand their footprint into other countries, working with global players. So that's what has allowed us to do that. So when we're working with a client, we look for the adjacent spaces that they're working in, the adjacent countries that they're looking to roll out in. And we really take a customer first approach. So what the customer feedback is, certain areas like e-invoicing, to change the topic a little bit, e-invoicing is a big mandate that we're seeing around the world in certain countries. And that's something we can solve for really well. So a lot of that is, okay, let's chase where e-invoicing is going right now. Let's solve for that country in ways that other people aren't doing today. So very, very customer-led, and somewhat product-led in terms of looking at the adjacent spaces we can move into.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And I think a lot of companies that are not customer-led, there's a fine balance between being customer-led and you have to walk a line because customers don't they might send you down a rabbit hole. But people that are not listening to their customers, people can spin up things so quickly. And so it's such an essential thing to call out for teams, that you have to be listening and implementing what your customers are actually saying that they need.
100%. Yeah, we've been really lucky with, Molly being one of our early customers and the kind of the footprint that they have in Europe, and being able to learn from them. They've also, are part of our investment team. We've done a lot there, and then moving to Payoneer, who's just global in everywhere. Again, there's a lot of learnings that we can get from them, and single organizations that we can really glean a lot.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So from a CRO perspective, there's obviously a lot of competition for attention. And so what are the channels that you're seeing working well right now for your teams to actually drive some demand? Yeah,
honestly, we are doing really, really well with marketing and the way we've started to approach marketing. We take a bit of a hybrid pseudo ABM approach when we're targeting enterprise and large financial institutions. But where our bread and butter is are, the vertical SaaS companies, the Series A, Series B that are like, hey, we don't have the resources to build this infrastructure into the product we're already developing. So targeting them, using knowledge, using industry knowledge, using deep research to create white papers, to create blog posts that are industry specific so we can be thought leaders in certain spaces. We really look at places that are underserved today where our product serves really well. So the service industry, like contracting, tradespeople, those are things that are really starting to come up. The IPO of Service Titan kind of had everybody's antennas up saying, all right, we need to get a part of this market. So looking at areas that are underserved today that people aren't really thinking about, but know they need to solve for, and that they're just greenfields. So yeah, those are really it.
Yeah, it's so good. And the focus of value first. So how can we actually add value before we're trying to sell? Like, let's create a resource that supports a specific industry. Yep. Hey, if you want to have a conversation after that, then great. But let's just focus on adding value and the results will come.
Yeah, I always say, let's sharpen the axe twice, 3 times if we have to, and strike once. So, if we put an SDR on a targeted campaign for a group of customers, we want to make sure that they're resourced with all the information that's going to bring value to that vertical, as well as specifically what Monite can do to support that, our APIs, how our APIs match their own product, and being able to go in with that intelligence ahead of time.
So good. Okay, I think you're going to like this next topic based on some of our conversations. So I know Monite has had a big focus with AI, and it's been an intentional decision that coming from the top, from your CEO, and then trickling down with your team. So you shared a little bit about you've been doing some challenges or something with your team. Can you talk about what that actually looks like? I'm so intrigued.
Yeah. So early this year, we realized, okay, one, our product obviously needs to have elements of AI into it, and we started building those in. Our OCR technology is fully powered by AI, in a number of other different areas, introducing agents into the actual application. But our teams weren't really doing much besides using, free ChatGPT accounts. So we started introducing different platforms, Claude being the one that we really like to use the most on the commercial teams, and started doing challenges. Challenge was, all right, everybody just build your agent. Just build something simple, automate something. I don't care if it's just, your emails going to one place consolidated for the day, just start. And we had little competitions, we would pin people against the teams against each other, and then roll up to one bigger group and, kind of have a show and tell on there. And award prizes for the best, what we thought were the best agents. And that just lit a fire under everybody. Next thing you know, everybody's like, okay, I can't stop. This is crazy what I'm able to accomplish. So even I myself, kind of sitting in the supportive seat of the rest of the commercial teams and honestly the whole go-to-market team, started building things for marketing, for sales, for customer success. So we're utilizing AI across the board. One in the tech stack that we already have. So, with HubSpot and outreach and whatnot, just really making sure that we're leaning into the products that we're purchasing, but supplementing that with our own custom built agents, our own scripts that we could feed into different AI platforms. And yeah, it's powered us significantly. I would say we have 3 times the output with the same team. There are headcounts that people are like, hey, you lowered your headcount for the quarter, lowered your headcount, for the year. Are you sure you want to do that? Like, that's unheard of for a sales leader to say, yeah, I don't need that right now. But honestly, I want to see my team succeed. I want to see them be successful. And we've empowered them to the point where they are just doing a lot more. We're seeing a lot more go a long way. And yeah, it's been awesome. So living that out right now, we're just going to continue to iterate on that. But it's been a lot of fun.
That's so awesome. What's your favorite agent that you or someone else has built that you're like, wow, that's, if you're able to share?
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple. There's one that we've done called Voice of the Customer. And basically what that is you can take a transcript from any call, from whatever platform your transcripts come from, paste it into the application, toggle your role in the organization. So whether it's sales, CS, marketing, even product and engineering, and translate into a number of different things. Pull out the insights that matter to that team. One of the great things is working with engineering. Like I said, we're very product led in a lot of ways, but our engineers don't necessarily speak the language of every vertical that we're working with. They have their own terminology. So being able to take a transcription of a discovery call, put it through that and have it come out in the Monite language. Okay, this is how it maps to your APIs. This is what they mean when they talk about receipts versus invoices, which aren't the same in a lot of different countries. And so that's one of the things we've done. Our methodology, we've created chatbots, but we love to use combination of spiced and medic depending upon where the customer group is, but creating chatbots that are fully trained, winning by designs, operating models and methodology with a flavor of our own, combined with our own API documentation, everything. Then a rep can be live chatting this sales coach while they're on a call or after. Give it the insights. Hey, what happened? What did I do wrong? Score the call based on what they hit, what they missed, giving advice for next steps, giving an email, a follow-up email if necessary. I mean, yeah, I can go on. We've really done quite a bit in all things.
No, it's so amazing. So for people who don't understand what an agent is, feel overwhelmed by that, because there are a lot of people that, everyone's heard of it, but they might not understand. Where would you recommend that they start? So,
I mean, I think taking a step back, I go to a lot of roundtables, have a lot of discussions with other, commercial leaders, other CRO sales leaders, and AI comes up every single time now. Like that is the topic. And most people are saying, yeah, we use ChatGPT. It's like, well, which version? Just the free version. And that's helpful. That's great. Compared to 3 years ago before we had that, it's amazing. But then you turn them on to, well, start paying for it. Start using projects. Start consolidating information into individual products so that you're really building a knowledge base in a data center for specific topics. Then taking that and, we like I said, we love to use Claude. I think Claude is, what we find is the most flexible and understanding, the agentic side of AI and building that engineering side. So we'll take, some of the learnings and dump it into Claude and quite literally just ask it to create an application around this. A lot of times you just let it lead. Say, hey, take this information, make it into something that's easy for me to access, make it so that it's easier for my teams to digest and something that I can interact with. See what it comes out with. And then from there, start thinking, all right, how am I using this? How could it be better? We're in tech, we're working with product all day long. We should know, what a good product experience is. So just start coaching it. That's literally where you can start and, just getting it to automate your email or whatever it is. That's what I encourage people. Start with projects, start consolidating information. Start seeing how that can actually create a completely different experience than what you're doing with the free versions, and then go from there.
It's such good advice, as well as learning about prompting. Mm-hmm. I used to hear about prompt engineering, and I thought it was just a dumb thing people said was a skill. I'm like, yeah, I can talk with ChatGPT, but it really is a very powerful skill to learn how to prompt. Yeah. And when you're thinking about agents and automations, it is very important that your prompts, because we're all talking to LLMs for most of this, your prompt is correct. And so spending more time on your prompt, that's one of the most important parts is getting that right.
Yeah. And a lot of times it's not getting it to do specifically what you want. It's getting it to pull back from doing more than what you want and over engineering things. So, putting guardrails ends up being the most strategic part of prompt engineering in our world.
Yeah, that's so good. Okay, I love all of that. And I think the challenge idea, something that people really could take away from this is building up that innovation part of their company, because something we talked about before we started recording was once you do it once, it really is a little bit addicting. So you have to keep an eye on it. But if you can get people to do it once and see what's possible, the capabilities are really impressive. So I would encourage people to take that tidbit out. If there's any way you can test it with your team, doing a quick sprint, picking one small thing to automate and learning the tools from there.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, there's a place for it. We have everybody kind of using it, but to your point, it's not the best use of everybody's time. So working with RevOps, working with solutions, architects and sales engineering, a lot of times it's better suited there to say, okay, hey, we've ideated and come up with some ideas and built some basic framework of some agents or applications. This is going to live with this team and they're going to grow it and they're going to nurture it and, take the feedback from the rest of the team so we could focus on, what we're doing on the day to day.
Yeah, that's good. So that's some of the stuff that's going well for your team. It sounds like. What in this current market do you feel like is frustrating or has been a challenge for your team?
Yeah. I think on the flip side, I think everybody is questioning everything. Can I do that myself? What are you doing that I can't engineer in AI and have that built in a shorter period of time with my teams? The build versus buy conversation. In my time at Codat and other infrastructure places, it was always there. Now it's just X is probably understating what it is in terms of that conversation. And I think when you get into the weeds and you challenge those conversations and people do engage with you through the commercial process, 100% of the time everybody says, okay, yeah, I get why I can't do this with AI. A lot of times we have people that go away and sometimes they don't come back and they don't engage for whatever reason, but they just don't end up launching those products. But the folks that see it through and see, okay, yeah, this money movement, especially the security around that, this is harder. This is not something that I could just prompt engineer to happen. I might be able to do some UX UI stuff, but other than that, that's where it stops.
Right. No, it's such a good call out. Okay, so what, as you're thinking, we're obviously towards the end of the year, whenever people are listening to this, end of 2025. So we're looking towards 2026. What are you and your team at Monite? What are you focused on? What are you trying to do in 2026?
Yeah, I think for us, we are trying to see, other again, the adjacent markets. We work in a lot of different areas, vertical SaaS payments, traditional banking. When I came on was kind of when we really started to work in North America and the US. So for us, working with banks here, community banks, challenger banks, some of the smaller banks, a lot of the larger ones know of us and we have conversations going. But, we had to get SOC 2, we had to get ISO. There was a few things for the US market that we really needed to check off the boxes on. So that's a big focus for us, is how are we going into the US? What verticals make the most sense for us, and again, focusing and then kind of growing from there. And then AI is just still constantly a part of the conversation. What can we do more with AI? Where are we leveraging this when it comes to headcount, to finance? Where is the world going? Every few days there's something new that we couldn't do a couple of weeks ago. So even having this conversation a week before Thanksgiving 2026, who knows what's going to come out in the next 6 weeks,
It's, yes, 2026 could be a different beast. Agents might not be relevant somehow. Anything is possible.
Yeah, 100%. And I've seen some people talk that the new SaaS kind of application style is just a so you see all these people switching from that, column on the left with your menu, the main body, off to the right, to just a chatbot in the center and maybe some options underneath. I'm interested in seeing if that sticks, because that really is saying, we're limiting the ability that you have to, control the experience and pretty much putting it on agents, on AI,
right,
on the database that we've built. So yeah, I'm interested in seeing where that from a product standpoint starts to take us, if our product landscape is going to look totally different by the end of next year.
Yeah, I think it will. So we'll have to see. Cool. Anything else that you want to leave the audience with in terms of leadership, revenue, go-to-market, AI, just any other tidbits that you've thought of as we've been talking that would be helpful?
No, nothing off the top of my head. I think, I already gave the little nugget of, hey, move from a free ChatGPT account and just upgrade to the paid one. I think it's like 17 or 18 bucks a month. And, you will unlock so much more if you just search and learn how to utilize the project folders and whatnot. And I think, just start. That's it. Don't second guess yourself. Don't wonder. Don't think you can't do it. Most of my team has never coded anything in their lives. And now they're like, okay, we're building agents. We're integrating them into Slack. Our head of marketing, again, never touched any code in her life. She's built an agent that every single morning researches all of our industries and comes back and right into a Slack channel, just gives industry news, competitive insights, competitive analysis. I mean, this has replaced a product marketing headcount for her that now she's like, great, this is doing it for me. So, don't be intimidated by it. Just start.
And don't use the excuse that you don't have enough time, because these are things that will free up your time. It's do the work once. And yes, they do require maintenance. Things do break. This is software.
Yeah.
But do it once and it really will have benefits over the long haul. And so even taking a Saturday morning, like if you need to just uninterrupted time, take an hour, see what you can build.
Yeah.
And it will produce results for you. Bobby, thank you so much for your time. If people want to connect with you or with Monite, where would the best place to be?
Yeah, I think Monite.com is probably the easiest. LinkedIn, I'm easy. My handle is Bobby Fowley. Yeah, but LinkedIn, the website, those are the best places, the usual spots.
Awesome. I will make sure to put those links just so it's easy for people to do it. But thank you so much for your time. And I will definitely be following along with you and everything that Monite's doing over the next year.